Well, we finally reached 2023, and with a new year comes new goals for our homeschool. So today we're going to talk homeschool resolutions that we have for 2023. Hey guys, and welcome back to my Practically Imperfect Life. Today's video is a part of a homeschool show and tell series that's hosted by Jessica from the Waldock Way and Abby from Rooted in Rest, where each month we just have a topic that we create videos on. And this month's video topic is homeschool resolutions. Now, I'm actually one of those people who's very big on resolutions and goals. I have a list that I do for myself. I have like categories of resolutions that I make. I have home, personal, family, work, and health. And I set a couple of resolutions or goals for the year. And then each month I look back on like those overall goals for the year, and then I pick specific things I want to try to achieve that month to get to those bigger goals. And so most of my homeschooling goals actually fall under my family category, because homeschooling is just such a big part of our family life. And maybe it's because I'm a nurse and we have to do these all the time at work. So if you have nurse friends, ask them what a SMART goal is. If you don't already know, we have to create SMART goals all the time. They've got to be specific, measurable, obtainable, realistic, timely. And I kind of pull that into my own life. I very rarely will make a resolution that's kind of like broad and undefined. I'll be much more specific than that. So if you notice that my goals and resolutions seem more, a little more direct, that's just because that's how my mind operates. I will work towards something harder and more consistently if I have, an endpoint. Like I can know when I'm checking the box that I've reached that goal or I've achieved that resolution. And so that's kind of how I've approached all of my New Year's resolutions, especially in the past 5 years or so, and plan on continuing to do that going forward. So let's go ahead and jump into my homeschooling resolutions for 2023. So my first one is actually one that is on my list every year because I want to obtain that goal every year. And that's to have all of our curriculum for the following school year picked out, purchased, and in the house by the end of May. Now you might say that sounds crazy. Why would you do that? Well, a couple of reasons. First of all, I find that by researching upcoming curriculum while we're still in the current year, one, helps me to better identify what curriculums might work for my kids. I'm in the moment seeing what is and is not working well for us on the current year. And so that might help me make decisions on what may or may not work for the following year. The second reason I really like to do that is so I can monitor for different curriculum sales. Different websites that provide curriculum like Rainbow Resource or Christian Books, and even then the curriculum companies themselves, whether that be BJU or Apologia or whoever we're buying from, will have sales at different times during the year. And sometimes the best sales aren't always right before the school year starts. And I like to hit those sales as they come, being able to really source out the best prices on things because, we don't get any financial support from our state for homeschooling, which is fine. But it just means that, if we can budget and find good deals, that is all good. And the third reason I really like to do that is so I can start doing lesson planning as our school year is slowing down. My kids start to finish subjects. So we're doing fewer things towards the end of the school year. And I have the time to start putting together lesson plans for the next year. Now, that doesn't mean those are like the hardcore set and plan lesson plans that we'll end up doing the following fall, but I can start getting the bulk of that work done before we really hit our summer break. My second goal or resolution is to take a hard look at dual enrollment. My oldest is going to be in 11th grade next year, and we have talked, she and I, about dual enrollment courses. A lot of her older friends do that as well. Some of them take a lot of college classes, some just take a few here or there. And we've kind of talked about what type of courses she might be interested in, where we may have her take those, and whether online or in person is the way to go. She's kind of leaning towards wanting to do courses that she can take online. Something, there is something, that kind of bothers me about the idea of sending someone who's just turning 16 into a college classroom and just being, around so many people who are so much older than her. And I think she would just feel more comfortable kind of baby stepping into it with an online course. So our goal is to take a really firm look at the different options available to us, local colleges or in-state colleges, and what their rates are for a course, possibly doing a campus tour and talking to the representatives there that work with homeschooling families who have kids doing dual enrollment, or even local high school kids doing dual enrollment. And if the cost isn't too prohibitive, if the cost isn't too high, we're not even going to try big words today because I'm still on my first cup of coffee. If the cost isn't too high, what some out-of-state schools might be. We picked up a lot of materials from different colleges that offer online dual enrollment during the Great Homeschooling Convention. And it is nice because you know that there's a Christian focus at those universities. And so I'm not concerned that they're going to teach something that would necessarily go against our beliefs or introduce things that I think would be inappropriate for her to be exposed to. So we need to make that decision. We also need to decide for sure how many courses we feel would be appropriate for her to do. We may just baby step it and say, let's do one in the fall and see how it goes. And if that's doing okay, maybe do two in the spring and then bulk up a little bit more the senior year. So along the lines of college credits and preparing for college, we do want to take a hard look at preparing for the PSAT and the SAT, because those do typically come around during the junior year, in the fall and in the spring. And I know that the tests have changed pretty significantly from when I took them, which was a long time ago. Longer ago than what I care to admit, but a long time ago. And I know colleges don't necessarily, they're not as huge in the decision to admit a student nowadays as they were when I was a student, but they are still important, and we do want her to do well on them. So we have been looking at different companies that have kind of the test prep programs where they do an assessment test to see where they're at. They determine what it is they need to work on, what are their strengths and weaknesses, and they come up with kind of a weekly, here's what you need to work on kind of preparation thing. I feel like that would be worth the money to do for a couple of reasons. One, I'm not familiar enough with the new tests or the changes in the test to be able to put something together myself. And while I could pick up like a workbook for her to do, I don't feel like that would be as engaging for her or give her enough kind of like deadlines. She does very well when an outside source sets a deadline and an assignment for her. We saw that with like her when she did her online driving classes, when she's done her online Dave Ramsey courses, and anything she's done where something has been assigned to her and it says, hey, get this done by this date, she'll do it. She'll hold herself accountable and get it done and do well with it. So we are going to pick a company, and I'm hoping to pick it by mid-spring, so that way she can start working on that. And then my assignment as mom is to find out the information on how I sign her up for the 2 exams, where they need to be, when we need to do signups. So that way we can have that all prepared in advance and kind of know the game plan going into the next school year. My next goal or resolution is to give my kids a little more freedom in choosing their electives. So we have, obviously the core courses they do for high school credit, and every year they get an elective credit for our biblical studies. One year was a focus on apologetics. This year we have a lot of focus on Old Testament studies, and that's a given. We're going to do that. German's a given. We're going to keep doing that. I would like for them to be able to pick at least 1, if not 2 electives for the year that just really strike their interest. Now, if you just ask them to sit down and write down ideas, I think they would draw a blank. They wouldn't know quite what I meant. Like, what draws your interest? What is it you'd want to study more and turn into an elective? It's not like when we were in high school and we had like the course catalog and you sat there and you highlighted all the things you were interested in and then you crossed your fingers that you could get into that class. So I thought about bookmarking a couple of websites that I know have elective course material or potential elective course material, and let them browse through that kind of during, the months of January and February. And by the end of February, I'd like them to be able to tell me like one potential elective that they would be interested in. So I can either work on getting the curriculum for that or putting together a program for them. I just want them to have a little more freedom as they get older and helping to choose more of the things that they do. I mean, I do take their opinions into account. You know, if they tell me that a program just isn't working for them or they want to try something different, you know, we have made some big switches based on, you know, those bits of feedback that they've given. You know, I've switched entire curriculums based on that. But I would like them to just kind of take the reins a little bit more on their own education and make some of those decisions. And I think electives are a good place to start. All right, my fifth resolution or goal is to help them do a little more career exploration. I don't know, maybe you guys have teenagers who are feeling this too, but they just don't know what it is they want to do as adults as far as a career path or even a general field. I mean, we've thrown different ideas out at them and nothing has just really stuck as something they really want to do. I mean, I know my oldest has told me she absolutely doesn't want to do anything related to nursing, and she doesn't want to be a teacher. Okay, well, it's kind of the two things I do, but that's okay. It makes it hard as we're starting to look at colleges to know which ones might work well for them if we don't know what kind of major or program of study we need to make sure is available at that school. You know, we don't want to go to a school simply because, you know, it's in Florida and it's warm, but it doesn't have a good program in the area you want to study. You know, the whole point of college is the education. You know, if we're going to put the money into it, let's get our money's worth. So I feel like we need to focus on a bit more of career exploration and possibly some job shadowing opportunities, even if we can get some general ideas on what, you know, they're interested in. Find a couple of people in fields related to that and see if they can come out and shadow for a day or for a couple of hours and see kind of what a day in the life is like for a person in that career field. I feel like that gives you a much better idea on what to really expect out of a job than, you know, anything you're going to read in a book. All right, and my last homeschooling resolution or goal is to try to get us out of the house more. Not just out of the house more like socially. I mean, we're out for scouts and for basketball and for golf and family things and things like that. But I mean out of the house for things related to school. If you have been homeschooling for a while, you know, like when they're younger, you know, it's easy to plan field trips. You know, we'll do a day at the library or we'll go to, you know, a museum or we'll do a kids program or go to the aquarium or go to the zoo. Like it feels like there's so many different like field trip opportunities, you know, and they're, you know, when they're kids, you want to get them out of the house and have them burn that energy and learn something in the process. And it's, you know, they get so excited about it. And then it's like, as they got older, we just kind of became home buddies. Like we just kind of stay home. And we enjoy being at home. But there is a lot of good opportunity out there to, you know, learn and experience more related still to the subjects that they're studying now. So in 2023, I want to make a better effort at planning a few outings related to homeschooling, whether that be to a specific presentation or a specific museum exhibit, or to, you know, a town where something happened, maybe even incorporating it into one of our upcoming family vacations. I want to try to take advantage of, you know, the few years I have left to homeschool them and just really make a big impact. And I feel like that's a way that we can do that. All right, that's it for my goals and resolutions related to homeschooling in 2023. I would love to hear some ideas on things that you and your families are looking to incorporate or change or aim for in 2023 in your own homeschools. I feel like every year I learn so much from other homeschooling moms, and I take all of this information that I'm hearing and suggestions and, you know, just kind of internalize it and let it roll around. And it's really helped me to make improvements in my own homeschool over time. So I would just highly encourage you to just check out the other videos on this playlist, see what other homeschooling families are doing, you know, share ideas with one another in the comment section. I think it's just a great way for us to, you know, come together as a homeschooling community and continue to just grow and flourish and really enjoy this time that we are blessed with our kids. Thanks so much, everybody. I will see you in the next video.